angels willing to hold us in their arms. When our worth was stone, our ashes, and we both passed on. Let forever mean forever and carry on.
Good afternoon. Today ought to be an interesting subject. And as I've said a million times before, lead by example. And that's what I strive to do. I do everything I can to lead by example. When I say things, it's not mere words. It's how I do my very best to live life. Sometimes people don't understand that, and I understand that there's a lot of bullshit in society, and a lot of people speak a lot of bullshit in society. Well, my dad raised me that a man is only as good as his word. He raised me that integrity is the most important attribute. And that's a lesson that I never let go of. Now, in my younger years, I would do my best to overlook quite a bit. I was a very, very passive person. Not so much today. I think between experience, which equates to wisdom, and just getting older, I don't have room for it. Some people might call me a grumpy old bastard. That's fine. In fact, I resemble that remark. Before we get started here, though, there was somebody that won the internet for the day. And I have a quote for you that I have to repeat. I don't have a choice. Survival Prepping for Normal People had put out several posts today on Patreon. And one of those posts was talking about the whole Epstein thing. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time on that, nor am I going to. And the reason why is because there's so much disinformation out there. How the hell am I supposed to find the truth? Is he alive? Is he dead? I don't know. It's hard to say. I do know with the information, though, that they have been providing, the official accounts. It doesn't take more than about 1 1/4 brain cells to realize that something's not right. And so, Survival Prepping for Normal People, he had made a post about the whole Epstein thing. And in one of the comments, he had replied to somebody, "How did that red pill taste, bitches?" I thought it was classic. And he was speaking in reference to all of the people that are waking up with this event. And there are a lot of people that are starting to open their eyes as a result of this whole Epstein epidemic. Can I call it that? An Epstein epidemic? But we're not going to get into that. That's not what I'm going to talk about today. Certainly not. In fact, you probably won't hear me talk about much when it comes to that. I haven't been putting out news when it comes to that. Of course, that's been filling the airwaves with news. And I haven't been really putting anything out as far as on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. And the reason being is because of all the misinformation. No, I don't believe the official account. And I also don't believe a lot of the whack jobs out there that are just making stuff up and putting it out there. So, considering there is absolutely nothing but misinfo to choose from, there isn't much that I can put out. Again, this goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning about integrity, okay? I take what I do very seriously. And for me to knowingly and willingly destroy my own integrity would make the entire mission pointless. So I do my best not to do that. Sometimes that means not putting out information, and yes, especially in this case, it means that I'm not going with the wave, so to speak. A lot of different alternative media outlets are really racking it in by covering that. We're not one of those outlets. That's not how we roll. We don't do this. We don't do this for, likes. We don't do this for subscribers. We don't do this for views. It's not even in the cards. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The last thing anybody will ever be able to say about the Watchman News is that we were bought out. That is the last thing that anybody will ever be able to say about us. So anyway, what am I going to talk about today? Today I'm going to discuss the topic of whether or not it is time to start separating the wheat and the tares. One of my most favorite parables in the Bible. My opinion, I think it's past time. I think it's well past time. In fact, personally, I've been doing it for a little while now. Quite a while, to tell you the truth. It's why we don't really associate with a whole lot of people. I just, I don't need distractions, for one. I don't need a tainted mindset. And, I don't need, how do I put this? I don't need my mind to be further closed. And that is one of the things that I'm concerned about. Let me run through the normal stuff, and I'll get into it. I'll tell you what's went on today. There's been several things today that I've had to deal with that has to do with this very subject. So let me get through the normal stuff, and then we'll get on topic here. I'll try to make it as quick as I possibly can. During the monologue, we are, unlike normal, we are going to be playing a video. Okay? I normally don't play other people's content during the monologue, but I think this fits. And it was a video that I was going to play yesterday, and I didn't play it. Okay? And I'm just going to warn people ahead of time. If you're a little bit, your compassion tank is a little bit low, this video is probably going to piss you off. And that's fine. Whatever. I don't care. I do not care. Again, it's time to start separating the wheat and the tares. Whatever that means. Whatever the quote-unquote consequences, because there are no consequences on my end. I guarantee you that. Guarantee you that. By me sticking up for integrity, for me sticking up for humanitarianism, there's absolutely no consequences on my end. Sure, I may not get ahead in this way or that way or another way. That's not my goal. My goal isn't to compete in the rat race. I could give a damn less about the rat race. I don't care. That's man's thing. That's society's thing. No. The scales I'm judged by is the scales of God, not society. I have to have some kind of a firm foundation to build my life upon. I sure the hell ain't gonna choose the quicksand that is society. I'm not gonna do that. I'm smarter than that. Anyway, let me get through the regular stuff real quick. I know I keep saying that. Amazon affiliate, we are at $10.61. So that is where we are at. I don't think that changed from yesterday. There are a couple more items, though, that says ordered. I can speak for two of those items, or what we ordered last night. We did go ahead and order a percolator coffee pot, and because, like I told you guys, that's where the donations go. The donations go towards prepping stuff. I had told you guys this month that at the end of the month, when we get our Amazon affiliate money, that it was going to go towards a percolator coffee pot and the filters for it. So we actually took Tim's wonderful donation. Thank you again. And that's what we got. The only difference was instead of the 12 cup, I went with the 9 cup because I got to thinking about it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to want to make smaller amounts at a time than our normal daily amount that we have now for several reasons. But nonetheless, that's what we got with it. So that means at the end of this month, when we get our Amazon affiliate money, that will actually be going towards a pair of tactical pants, which was my original intent before the bright, shiny percolator caught my eye. So I will go ahead and continue on down that list, and it looks like it's going to be tactical pants at the end of the month, and I already know I need to model them. I know that. And then next month, when we get that larger Amazon affiliate money, I've already got an item picked out for that. And I know a lot of people's going to be like, huh, prepping? How's that for prepping? Well, I'm going to show you. I've got some good plans for it. I'm still doing research on it, but I will go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. What I'm looking at smartwatches. You guys know that I had already gotten a cheap one, and the reason why I got a cheap one was just to see if I could handle wearing the damn thing on my arm, on my wrist. I don't like watches. I hate wearing watches. And so I bought this cheap one just to see if I would be able to handle, wearing a watch. And I'm not having too much of a problem with it. It's minorly annoying, but, it's not too bad. So I didn't want to get something that I'm not going to use. And, however, this thing's a piece of junk. This $23 or whatever smartwatch is a piece of junk. Don't, if you want to get a smartwatch to see if you would wear a watch, then, buy any kind of watch and see if you're going to wear it first, okay? And then maybe invest. But they have some pretty good smartwatches. They have a refurbished one I'm looking at that's $79.99. It's a TicWatch. It's a TicWatch E is what it's called. E standing for Express. That looks to be the forerunner. And so just like I've told you guys, we're going to be transparent 100%. And if you don't understand how that will fit into prepping, well, I'll show you. I've got plenty of uses that it will come in extremely, extremely handy for. And I'll explain that when that time comes and I do the video for it, the review and stuff like that. I'll explain the uses that I have for it and the ideas that I've come up with. So anyway, because it does much more than just tell the time. So let's see here. 1061 is where we're at. Real quick, I'll explain it if you guys don't know, and I know you guys already do. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, in the description of the video and on our homepage, thewatchmannews.com, we have an Amazon affiliate link right there where it turned red. If you click that link before you go shopping on Amazon, it won't cost you anything more, but it credits us for the sale and throws a little bit our way. And so we're able to get prepping items and then review those prepping items, and it works out great. In my opinion, it works out great for everybody. So nonetheless, that's what it's there for. It's much appreciated when people partake in it. We also have an Amazon store. There's a link in the description and a link on our homepage at thewatchmannews.com. That's just basically our Amazon store. It's got a bunch of different categories there. I'm constantly adding items in the different categories and creating new categories. They're all items that we stand behind. And once again, if you make a purchase out of our Amazon store, it'll throw a little bit our way, but it costs you absolutely nothing extra. So let's see, one more way. If you want to support us and you don't do the Amazon thing, we do have a PayPal donation link. You can either go to thewatchmannews.com and we have a menu item here, or you can go to thewatchmannews.com/donate. It will redirect you to the same page, which is just our PayPal donation page. So you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just use a debit or a credit card. And it will say Transforming Disabilities up top. I always let people know that. That is us. It will also say Purpose the Watchman News donation. So never required, but always appreciated. And as I tell you, when I say something, you can count on it. You can count on it. And I do my very best to live by example. And that's what I'm trying to show. Like I say, tomorrow we'll be getting the percolator in. And then I'm not sure exactly what day we'll be getting the filters in. I'm not quite sure. But I'm one of those people that have no problem showing you. Arriving tomorrow by 9 p.m. And this says between August 15th and August 19th. So who knows? Not sure. But the percolator will come with a few filters. You don't even have to use a filter. But if you use fine ground coffee, like most of the coffee out there now, there is a chance that some's going to get down into the coffee. And if you don't mind crunchy coffee, that's fine. But I'd prefer not to have crunchy coffee. So I'll use the filters. Anyway, that would cover that stuff. So let's get to talking about this. Let's get to talking about what put me here today. And it's not just today. This is an overall thing. Again, I've been doing this. I've been separating the wheat and the tares for quite some time. I've said a saying for a long time, and that is, you can't control people, but you can control your own environment. There's a lot of truth to that. A whole lot of truth to that. And being that we're preppers, and being that we try to be a good steward when it comes to teaching prepping, this is an important part of that. You have to understand how people are going to act after an event. And unfortunately, the only way that you can do that is look at how they're acting today, before an event. And I guarantee you that there's a lot of people out there that have a really bad mindset that is only going to get worse after the event. See, you have to understand that a major event is going to do two things. It's going to bring the best out of some people, and it's going to bring the worst out of some people. That's the two ways it's going to happen. There is no other. There is no other. Unfortunately, there is no way that we can be 100% accurate on that. People that we think it's going to bring the best out of, it's actually going to bring the worst out of. You know, there again, some people that we think is going to bring the worst out of, it's going to turn them around and it's going to bring the best out of them. So there's no 100% certain way to know. But there are some attributes that I put my foot down on today, regardless, because I don't see how it would change after an event. One of the major things I look at is a person discriminatory. That's an instant getting kicked out of my car. And the reason why is because those type of people are the same people that will be stabbing you in the back. And you have to think about that, especially if you are trying to put a group together, if you're going to be the head. I hate to say the word leader, because in the group that I intend to be with, there will be no leaders. Now, I will be the organizer, and it damn well won't be a democracy, but I'm not going to be a leader. Absolutely not. My only role is to organize people, put them together, try to find the best people for the best roles when it comes to kind of a supervisory role, so to speak. Like, you've got different areas, of course. You're going to have hunting, you're going to have farming, you're going to have security, you're going to have medical, and I'm just throwing some out there. And so my goal, my intent, my job is to find the people that would be best qualified to lead up those positions and not be a leader per se, but just take charge and do what you know. Help get people trained to be able to perform those functions. That's important. That's hugely important. But one thing you're going to be able to, one thing you're going to have to do is have people that understand the truth. And when I say the truth, I mean the truth of life, the truth of humanity. There is nothing in this life that's really just black and white. There truly isn't. When it comes to human beings, 9 times out of 10, there is a reason for their actions or a reason for their inactions. Now, in order for you to know whether or not that person would be a liability for your group or an asset to your group, is understanding what actions led to who they are or what you see. And it could be quite profound in many instances. So let me explain to you today what I saw. And it was frustrating. It was frustrating. So somebody, and again, there's been a number of things today. Somebody had posted a meme about individuals that owe back child support and don't have a car, don't own a home, okay, in a very discriminatory manner against them. Now, this same individual whom claims to be awake, but yet can't see the forest for the trees, has said on multiple occasions about how we need to reboot the system. But yet they can't even see how the system has put hundreds of thousands of men in that position. Instead, we go with our emotion, ooh, this feels good to step down on somebody, and we post it. Okay. Post what you want. I don't control you. But I also don't have to be the one that's helping you. And I won't be. Life comes with consequences. Part of those consequences are consequences that we should have to pay for our attitudes. Unfortunately, in this society, people are not making that happen. People are not showing integrity. Not whatsoever. And I don't know what to tell people, but when you run into somebody that's got integrity, you might want to treat them with respect. Because they don't need you. They don't need you. And that's exactly where I stand. I have lost more than I have ever gained because of my integrity. And I will continue to do so. I will continue to do so. I may fail like all hell when it comes to society and when it comes to mankind, but that's not what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with that moment right after I take my last breath on this planet. That is the moment that I'm looking at. Because truthfully, nothing else matters. This body is just a vessel. This time that I'm spending, very, very temporary. There's a much bigger picture. The picture that we should be looking at. But I can't control other people. I can only control myself. It's time that we start calling people out. And I've been saying that for quite a while in different ways. I've been saying that we need to start calling out alternative news that promotes lies. Because I think it's important. I think it's important to the existence of alternative media. Because the powers that be are using that. They're using those extremists in alternative media to employ the Hegelian, I can't even say it, Hegelian dialectic to be able to bring down the alternative media. See, we have to be smart enough to rise above this stuff. if we have any hope of overcoming it. Sometimes it's not so easy. Because, see, the powers that be know that if they can control your emotions, they can control you. And that's where we get the meme intelligence today. All the people that just post stuff out of their asses because, oh, it feels good. But yet they didn't take one moment, not even the slightest moment, to think about what led up to that. I knew for a fact that the event that happened, I believe it was yesterday, I reported on it, St. Charles, Missouri, I believe, wasn't it St. Charles? I could have the location wrong. If I do, I apologize. But a gentleman in front of a school doused himself with gas and attempted to light himself on fire. Now, they're not giving out an official cause or anything like. They're not saying, all they're saying at this time is they have no idea why. They don't know if this guy has any kind of connections to the school. And I'm calling bullshit. They don't want you to know why he felt like that was his only resort. Now, I'm going to guess, I am going to speculate here, that it was very likely a father that's not able to see his children. But yet, people on social media are laughing it up. This guy's crazy, this, and this, and this. I mean, they're not going without their kids. They're not going without being able to see their kids. Why the hell do they care? Just like this individual in my instance hasn't had to go through what I've gone through. Not a victim of the system, has no clue of the hell that is the family court system. Oh, but he's got an opinion. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I've got the experience. And the last thing I'm going to do is judge an individual when I have not been in their shoes. Nor will I allow somebody around me that thinks they're above everybody else enough to be able to do so. Now that is controlling my environment. I can do that, and I will do that. I've proven that here on the show. There were individuals that have been here for a long time that no longer exist here and will not exist here. We've had moderators. We had a group of moderators that went bye-bye real quick. They were trying to co-opt and adapt what the Watchman News was about. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, that leads me to a video. And again, probably not going to be real well received because of this, some of the content that he's got in it. Now, mind you, I don't always agree with this guy. Absolutely not. But there is a fact. And that fact is every number that he uses in his content can be verified. 100%. And for that, he gets my utmost respect. He doesn't talk out his ass. But he's going to give some statistics and some numbers during this video that are Pretty shocking. And it shows you how some parts of society are pretty shallow. We need to, as good stewards of humanity, look for the facts. We need to accept the facts, which is key. And then we need to separate the wheat from the tares. We need to start shunning these people that are trying to punch down on other people just because they don't have the experience. They haven't walked in the shoes. The Bible says the meek inherit the earth. It also says that the first will be last and the last will be first. There's a reason for that, and there's a hell of a lot of wisdom in that. Maybe we should start paying attention again to that Bible. Anyway, I was going to play this yesterday, and I decided not to. But today's the perfect day, and maybe that was the intent. And if that was the intent and my hint came from above, then thank you, God. I thank God for pretty much everything. I have a feeling he might have played a role in this. Anyway, Beau of the Fifth Column. He's got a video called Let's Talk About Trump, Obama, Alejandra, Friends, and Enemies. It's good stuff in here. By the way, I will preface it by saying I'm not an open borders kind of person. He's not really open borders, but the video might make you think so. So, just letting you know that's kind of incorrect. Definitely incorrect on my part, and it's pretty incorrect on his part too. We're kind of in the same boat on that. They really need to fix the immigration system, but you know, they are distracting and misleading society with all of this. He talks a little bit about that.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. And we got a lot to talk about today. You got that guy from the administration rewriting New Colossus. I'm sure, man, he thinks he's clever. He probably spent all day working on that gem. Send me those who can stand on their own 2 feet. Yeah. He's funny. Because that's America's biggest concern right now, is that maybe at some point, sometime in the future, somebody who is granted a permanent resident card may possibly access one of our safety nets that are available to people. I'm not following. I don't see why this is a concern. But the media is playing along with it because that's what the media does. The headlines are saying Trump now curtailing legal immigration. Now. He's been doing it the entire time, but the media makes no attempt to educate. Asylum seeking is legal. It's a treaty obligation. When we violate that treaty, we violate the U.S. Constitution because treaties are law of the land. But they made no attempt to educate the American populace. So that talking point, well, it kept going. It stayed alive, even though it shouldn't have. Trump isn't trying to curtail legal immigration. That's not what it's about. It's not about stopping people who are going to come. It's about finding people to deport. That's what it's about. It's about taking people who would be okay and making them not okay, because all he cares about is his ratings. When you look at his tweets, you see anytime he talks about a TV show he doesn't like, he talks about their failing ratings or their viewership or their readership if it's a newspaper, whatever. That's all he cares about. One of the reasons I didn't support the Obama administration is because President Obama was the deporter in chief. He really was. And Trump, with all of his rhetoric, with the militarization of the border, with people having their doors kicked in, windows smashed and drug out of cars, ICE raids going on everywhere, he can't match Obama's numbers. That's driving him crazy because he looks like a failure to his base. Because he is. Even cooking the books and counting asylum seekers who voluntarily turned themselves into Border Patrol as border apprehensions, he still couldn't do it. It's because he bought into his own stereotypes. Well, illegals are obviously brown people from south of the border. So he focused all of his efforts on that. More than 40% of undocumented people in the United States, they arrived by air. That wall isn't going to do anything unless it's 36,000 feet high. There's another reason the Obama administration was more successful and why Trump is currently just getting Obama's leftovers. Obama used the surveillance state. He used information sharing between local police departments and federal agencies to find people to get out of here. The people Trump is getting now are those that the Obama administration looked at and were like, well, we're not going to worry about these people because they weren't that big of a deal. That surveillance state, it caused a backlash. Generally speaking, Americans don't like the idea of ratting out their neighbor to the Stasi. So it was curtailed. It was curtailed. Local jurisdictions pulled back from that information sharing. Makes Trump's job a little harder. So he has to go off of the other information, the information that was gathered before all of it was curtailed. That's why you have stories like Alejandra Juarez. Been here 20 years. She had a traffic violation in 2013. So her information got shared. So she went through the process and fought and fought and tried to do things legally, tried to do things the right way. And of course, she was denied every step of the way. She's married to a Marine. I think he's out now. But you know what? There's an article on CBS. I think I have it on my phone. Hang on one sec. Alejandra ultimately decided to self-deport to Mexico rather than turn herself in to be detained and then deported. After 20 years in the United States, she no longer has family or friends in the country. So she chose Merida, a city in the Yucatan where a small community of deported military spouses might help her. A community of military spouses. That's making America great again. A community of deported military spouses. Deporting the spouses of veterans. That's how we're going to make America great. Deporting those who kept the home fires burning while their spouse was off fighting a war. Getting rid of them. Those bad hombres. Ripping away the family structure of combat vets. Oh, I'm sure that's going to do wonders for the suicide rate. It's all about the same thing. It's about framing it so you kick down. You blame those with less power than you for the mistakes or the deliberate attacks on you by those at the top, those with the power. Blaming Alejandra for the Trump administration's decisions. That's what it's about. Let's talk about the immigrants maybe getting benefits. If you make $50K a year, you pay about 10 cents a day to fund food stamps. $36.50 a year to feed 40 million people. Yeah, I can see that as being a huge concern. I think a bigger concern would be the fact that we spend if you're just talking about direct corporate welfare, $870 to $907 a year, depending on the study. If you include all of the indirect subsidies and all of that stuff, the average American family pays $6,000 for corporate welfare. Oh no, let's worry about the $36 that maybe some of it might possibly be going to an immigrant. They've got you kicking down. And then you've got these farmers and these ranchers scratching their heads right now, wondering why the Secretary of Agriculture is making fun of them as they're losing their farms, calling them whiners, making jokes, because they never cared about you. They're not your friends. They don't represent you. They had nothing, they didn't care about you at all. You were just somebody they could target, use a stereotype, get you to hate someone else so you'd put them in power. That's it. That's it. This trade war that Trump started, it cost you your farm, your buddy his ranch, cost the American taxpayers billions, and increased the trade deficit. Must be Alejandra's fault, right? They don't care about you. When this is all over and they have milked this country for every dime they can, well, they're all going back to their gold toilets. You're going to be working at one of those big corporate-owned farms because you lost yours. It's like Scooby-Doo. They find a boogeyman. They find somebody to scare you, somebody for you to kick at. Most times isn't real. When it's all said and done, when you finally realize what's going on and you've solved the mystery, you pull off that mask and you see some old dude in a suit who you thought was your friend. This administration is not the friend of anybody in the working class. Doesn't matter if you're a coal miner, a farmer, an Amazon worker, it doesn't matter. They're there to extract as much wealth from you as possible and move on. That's it. They're not your buddy. And Alejandra isn't your enemy. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.
It's highly frustrating when you're an individual that knows these facts, knows these things, and you see what is going on in society. We can fix it. We can make it better. But we have to stop participating in it, number one. And then we have to start calling it out, number two. Because people are not going to stop participating in it as long as it's the cool thing to do. And right now, and for quite some time, the cool thing to do is to kick down, to punch down, to make fun of those that aren't in the same situation. It's unbelievable. You know, the internet, it can do some of the very best things and it can do some of the very worst things. It's how somebody uses it. It's just like a rifle. You know, you get people out there that for whatever reason, they decide that they want to take innocent lives with a rifle, and that's how they use it. In fact, I've got an update on the Dayton shooter. I just tweeted an article out just moments ago. The coroner says he had cocaine, and this is a first, antidepressants, they're admitting it, that's a first, and alcohol in his system. Cocaine, antidepressants, and alcohol was in his system. That's the Dayton shooter. we are being misled by the media, by the government, by society. And it's dangerous to ourselves. More dangerous than we could ever imagine. Because in the blink of an eye, any one of us could be put in any number of situations. If we've already demonized everybody in a particular situation, that's not going to be a very welcome place to be. I agree that all of these systems need work. Certainly agree with that. I think they need to go back to the local and county and at the very most state levels when it comes to a lot of these systems, these social systems. Because people in a community know whether or not somebody's in a bad position or whether they're just lazy and don't want to do anything. People in the community know that and can respond accurately. To where the blanket, whether it be blanket statements or whether it be blanket laws or blanket organizations, it's a one-size-fits-all solution for everything. And that typically never works out well for anybody, except for them, except the government. I look at government as like a casino. You can bet your ass, no matter how well you fare out in the end, they're going to win. But back to the point at hand, it is time to start separating the wheat and the tares. And that's going to take courage. That's going to take integrity. But there's a hell of a lot of honor in it. There is absolutely no honor in kicking somebody that's already down. Society might give you a set of stripes for it. But good luck with what God does. And shouldn't that be what we really focus on? I'm going to steal a saying. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Anyway, let me read you the headlines and we will go from there. Okay, going to start with stuff that I had tweeted out last night, some of it during the show. Trump offers Xi to meet and discuss Hong Kong via Twitter. Let's see. This is the man, an image of the man that walked into the Springfield, Missouri Walmart with the AR-15, 100 rounds of ammo, body armor. You know the story. He's coming out. He's trying to speak and let people know that he's not a bad person. This was merely what he said it was from the beginning and nothing more. I really do think that this is a story that we need to follow up on, because this guy broke no laws. He broke no laws. And yes, he's facing a terrorism charge. A terrorism charge. Yet he broke no law. They charged him with making a terrorist threat. Again, we need to stop. We need to slow down, and we need to ask ourselves how this applies to us. Is this something that can affect us? And it absolutely can. You know, how would you feel if you lived in an open carry state and you're just walking down the sidewalk with a sidearm on, and you scare somebody, and the next thing you know, you're being arrested for making a terrorist threat. This guy didn't threaten anybody. He didn't act menacing in any manner. He was just taking part in his constitutional right, in which Missouri just expanded those rights and supposedly stand behind them. Well, clearly, that's just lip service. Clearly, that's just lip service. And you get your statists out there that, oh, fry the guy, fry him. I fully admit it was not a bright thing to do. He admits that it wasn't a bright move. But it wasn't illegal. Iranian oil tanker held by UK to be released Thursday, says reports. Oh, you're going to love this. UK government plans to combat stabbing epidemic with warnings on fried chicken boxes. I'm not making that up. I am not making that up. So we go from banning guns to banning knives, and now we're going to put warnings on fried chicken boxes? That's even goofier than gun-free zone signs. At least 6 cops shot as active shooter situation unfolds in Philadelphia. We did speak on that last night. I'm going to scroll past that. The other guy, it was a long standoff, just to kind of condense it here. There was a long standoff. The other guy did turn himself in after a long period of time. The other man that was barricaded did turn himself in. I don't know a whole lot of details on it. From my understanding, that none of the injuries on the police officers were life-threatening. The officer that was shot in the head, it was apparently just a graze. He was just grazed with the bullet. So, all of that's good. All of that's good. There was nobody had to die in all of this. That is probably the most important takeaway from it. But be rest assured that those with the agenda to ban guns are hard at work. Very hard at work. In fact, the mayor, at least the mayor was decent enough to say that it was a discussion for a different time, but he made it very clear, the mayor that is, that he doesn't like guns. He doesn't like the ability for people to have that kind of firepower and that amount of ammunition. So, like I said, and I take him for his word. It will be at another time, maybe today perhaps, right? But he just didn't want to deal with it yesterday. Another one with Philadelphia shooter. Okay, now we are to this morning. Russian airliner with 233 on board suffers bird strike, makes belly landing near Moscow. RT was flooded with news about this incident today. I don't know that I shared any other news articles than this one here, because the feed was just flooded with it. Apparently, it was a miraculous landing, and my hat's off to that pilot, or them pilots. They apparently did one hell of a job. And I'm talking about a Sully Sullenberger quality type of job when it came to landing that aircraft. So, hats off to them pilots. Beijing, U.S. insanely involved in anti-Chinese criminal cases in Hong Kong. Russia says World Trade Organization would likely cease to exist if United States quits trade body. Truck drives into protesters blocking entrance to ICE detention center. Oh, by the way, that was an ICE employee from what I was reading. Let me see if this says that. But I read somewhere else that was actually an ICE employee that rammed the protesters. Let me just scan through here then and see if it says. Yeah. Tonight we experienced a tiny sample of violence ICE uses on our immigrant neighbors every day. An ICE guard drove his truck into our peaceful Jews Against ICE protest. Then other guards came out and pepper sprayed the crowd, the group tweeted. So, yeah. Can you see where I'm going with this stuff? This is getting to be unbelievable. Now, you know, I could make a lot of comments on how I feel about a lot of things with all of this, but it doesn't matter, right? Just because I'm not necessarily in line with what they're protesting about or even who it is that is protesting, it's not like I'm going to hop in a truck and try to run them over. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. U.S. tries to stop Gibraltar's planned release of seized Iranian supertanker. How do you like that? China vows immediate retaliation if U.S. proceeds with new tariffs. Man stabbed outside Home Office in London. Armed police called in. Armed police called in. Right? But the people can't own a gun. Can't even have a knife in public now to defend themselves. But the chicken boxes, that'll save them. That'll save them. Gunfire exchange along Kashmir line of control kills 5 Indian and 3 Pakistani troops in Islamabad. Or says Islamabad, one of the two. Trump says a trade agreement with China will be on U.S. terms. Iranian tanker Grace 1 released in Gibraltar despite U.S. attempts to hold it further. Israel will not let U.S. Congresswomen visit, says the deputy foreign minister. One of them is that Rashida Tlaib, I don't know how to pronounce her name, and the other one's the Ilhan Omar, and I'm probably butchering that name too. But those congresswomen are being banned from visiting Israel. Look, I don't agree with these ladies. Not in any way, shape, or form. Not in any way, shape, or form. But we just need to look at what's going on. Again, I don't have to agree with them. At all. In fact, I don't even think they should be members of Congress. I think that there should be very strict and very fast penalties for trying to push communism in the United States of America. But there's not. And that in itself should be an eye-opener. Scientists confirm July set new global heat record. And before anybody, no, it's not global warming, folks. It's climate change. It's pole shift. There is climate change, but it's a result of pole shift. Okay, not a result of cows farting and too much Aquanet in the 80s. Okay, pole shift. And like I've been saying the entire time now for over 10 years, which we haven't even been a news outlet for that long. The summers are going to be hotter and the winters are going to be colder. You mark my words. This winter, we will be setting many records for the cold. But what you really need to worry about are the storms. Going to be a real eye-opener come next year. Report says Epstein autopsy finds broken bones in his neck. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but a neck's not that easy to break. You know, I realize on all the James Bond movies and all that good stuff that, it's just a quick jerk of the head. No. It takes a lot to break a neck. So, I equate this to if he would have shot himself in the back of the head 3 times to commit suicide. Yeah. In other words, something's up. Most definitely up. But we'll never know. The truth will never come out. And I could sit here and speculate and give you conspiracy theory after theory after theory. But we still don't know the truth about JFK. I doubt we're going to find out the truth about this. By the way, who was it that last blocked the truth, or at least more of the truth, from coming out about JFK? Who was that? MAGA. While Russian accounting of radioactivity can be suspect based on past history of deception, there is no outside evidence to contradict the official reports at this time, which is exactly what I've been saying. Exactly what I have been saying. I don't trust any government. Not our government, not the Russian government, not the UK government that wants to put warning labels on chicken boxes. I don't trust any government. I just don't. But there was a lot of conspiracies running around about that mishap with the missile testing. Oh, this happened and that happened. The other thing, I believe that we were told the truth, or at least as much of it as what they could tell us and still keep information classified. I don't think it's anything more than that. And the evidence doesn't show anything more than that. So, yeah, radiation levels did spike, but not to some type of real insane level that would indicate even a test of a nuclear device. So I do think it was a mere, a mishap, and they're working on a new propulsion system for their rockets. Something to do with some type of radioactive isotope drive or something like that. It's way above my pay grade. But that is what exploded. So there was a spike in radiation, but again, it wasn't at the levels that, people should be extremely concerned. I do know that they did perform an evacuation. I think they did that, out of caution. But I don't think there's going to be any long-lasting effects from it. Again, you have to look at what type, what is it that is causing the spike in radiation? What is the element that is causing that? Some elements will stick around for a whole long time and produce a whole hell of a lot of radiation. Not all elements will. Some of them will dissipate very quickly, and I expect that is true with these isotopes. Russia's stealthy next-gen frigate ready for final testing. Trump says jump. Netanyahu asks how high. U.S. lawmakers denied entry into Israel after White House pressure. I don't agree with this. I think it's the opposite. I shared the news story anyway, but I think it's opposite. I think it's opposite. I think Israel says jump and Trump asks how high. So, to be quite honest with you, but that is what it is. I thought it was important to share the news story because, at least that much has been being said. That's important. Russians everywhere. Biden aide cries spy plane about normal treaty flight over U.S. And I saw this information yesterday. I saw this news come out, and I ignored it. I looked into it, and I saw that it was just one of their treaty flights, and it's like, okay, there's nothing to see here. Why are we calling it a spy plane? We not only knew it was going to be here, but it was planned way in advance, okay? So it's just part of the Open Skies Treaty. That's all. That's all. There's literally no news there. None at all. We do the same there over Russia. We fly a plane over, certain areas of theirs, and there's a treaty called the Open Skies Treaty, and that's what it allows them to do. So again, it's a nothing burger. Let's see, and this is the article that I was telling you about just a minute ago here, that I just shared out. The headline is the latest Dayton shooter's friend will stay in jail, but that's not the part that I was speaking to. I was speaking to this paragraph. Just this one. Right here. The coroner said cocaine, antidepressants, and alcohol were found in Bett's system at the time of the shooting. It also says a pipe device and a clear baggie carrying cocaine was found on Bet's body. So, I would say the important thing to look at there is the antidepressants, which is present in almost every mass shooter in our history. So, important stuff to look at. Anyway, that is it for the monologue. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the monologue and we'll go on from there. So, for those here for the live show, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be live till 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. For those that just watched the monologue or you're watching the recording thereof, thank you very much. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit.